Welcome back to the Climb Podcast. Really hope that you guys enjoyed Tyler's interview last week. We got some really good feedback on it. So we're really excited to share part 2, which is just a continuation. So if you have not seen last week's episode, it's right here on your screen. It's also linked below. Make sure that you watch that. If you're listening only, just go back an episode just so you can be caught up, because we're going to pick up right where we left off. Enjoy.
I can let him blur the vision.
Kind of bouncing back to the business side of things, it's like, you know, you and Josh, man, like, for those people that would, like, I remember when I started, I'm like, these two dudes are out in the lobby playing foosball, getting heated about the game. Intensity, right?
So we're clear.
Yeah, you know, like competitive, you know, but you also think about you two and like the differences you guys have, right? Like, you're a certain type, you know, from the financial, and then you got Josh, who's, you know, the people guy, and like, how you two come together, man, is really incredible. So, you know, I'd love to hear, you know, your thoughts on Josh as a business partner, and like, why do you believe you guys work so well together?
Yeah, I've given credit to a few different people here as we talk, but I cannot even begin to give Josh enough credit. I mean, our partnership is awesome because we just balance each other out perfectly. Like, we are literally the most opposite human beings in so many different ways, but at the same time, kind of our focus and our motivation and the goal that we're shooting for is aligned, which is obviously important. But, you know, like you said, he's the people person, and you know, I'm kind of more the back end finance guy. But we balance each other out perfectly. He likes hot coffee, I like cold coffee. You know, like, and it's freaky weird how whatever I'm good at, he's not good at, and vice versa, and the balance is perfect. And I mean, you guys have seen it over the years, and ultimately it's a 1 + 1 = 3 kind of deal. You know, whether you're talking business or, you know, your significant other or whatever, like, when you've got two people with different skill sets that can come together and work towards a common goal, like, you magnify what you're capable of on your own many, many times over. And been fortunate enough. It was just random. It was just we stumbled upon each other, and I don't know. I wonder sometimes, like, you know, everybody has their natural skill sets and tendencies, and I don't know if, like, you know, I got really good at this part because I knew he wasn't good at it, and vice versa, or, you know, I don't know how it all worked out along the way, but we've done a great job of, you know, Tyler, you're great at this. This is your responsibility, and Josh doesn't question me and just trust me 100%. And the stuff that he's great at, my hands are off, and, you know, I trust you because we're all fighting for the same thing here, and a ton of trust and respect is developed, and we've had a lot of success. So it's been cool.
Yeah, and I think when you think about leadership, a lot of people would think, I'm going to go find myself cloned into somebody else. But in reality, like, man, you hit a certain ceiling when you're only surrounded by people that do the same things as you. You know, and so that's, like, the cool thing is that you guys were able back then to put aside the things that maybe you see differently, but understand, like, man, this guy can really help me, and I can really help him, right? And, like, that's incredible.
You're 100% right. And I mean, I wish I had that epiphany early on in our relationship, mine and Josh, because we balanced each other out incredibly well. But at the same time, we went like a decade straight of us just trying to, you know, two-man it basically. And it wasn't until we brought other really, really good people into the business and empowered them to do things that, you know, we figured out that, hey, you know, as great as we are and as great as we balance each other out, like, there's people out there that do some things way, way better than we do. And then, you know, that, as much as anything, that was the point that the business really started moving forward, is when, you know, we brought other people to the party, and people surprise you. They're capable of a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. Great story for anybody that's out there trying to do it themselves, right? Life's a two-man game. Yep. And, find somebody that can counterbalance you, right? Or support you, maybe where you're weak or where you're strong or not that strong. So let's get in. So, Tyler, a lot of people ask, you know, how to balance work life, and you know, that's a tough thing. Obviously, when you're first starting off running a business and the business is flowing through you, especially. But I know home life very, very important to you. Your son's sports, similar to you growing up in sports, that's very, very important. I've been to a football game of the boys. Bryce has seen, I think Jackson play some basketball, and he said, "Man, Tyler, he's one of the loudest
He's
ones
in
the
there,
stands,
man.
right?" Like
He's in
so.
there.
I know that's an
Love
important
that.
part of your life. What kind of tips do you have for people on maybe how to balance that? Maybe in the early days, or how it's evolved over time, or what would you recommend right now?
Want the truth?
Absolutely.
It all depends on what you want in life. So if your goal is to get maximum dollars for least amount of effort, then we can talk about work-life balance all day long. Like if you really want to do something special, if you really want to change the world, change your lot in life, move, far, far forward from where you're at today, there is no such thing as work-life balance, and that's the truth of it. Like if you want to get somewhere special, you can't have this like line of separation that exists between home and life. And I don't answer my phone when I'm at home because I'm with my family. Like I love my family and I love my boys, but for a long, long period of time, I probably wasn't there. I know I wasn't there for my family the way that I wanted to be, and some would argue maybe even the way that I should have been. But life is about sacrifice, man. And if you want to get something special, you've got to give, and you've got to, just realize that there are seasons of life. If you're in your 20s or your 30s, like that's the time to grind, man. You only have that much energy once. You only have that much time once. So that's the time that you got to be on the same page. If you got a wife at home, a husband at home, kids at home, like it's got to be a teamwork situation, and everybody's got to be fighting for the same goal and the same cause. And if you can do that, then your work life and your family life bleeds together, and it just becomes life. And everybody's fighting, for whatever that cause is, and you can accomplish special things. And then, seasons of life changes, and we sacrificed for a long period of time where, both Josh and I were working 7 days a week on the trucks and answering phones until all hours of the night, and all the stuff that you guys have done as well. And then, eventually you don't have to do that stuff anymore, and somebody takes your place, and you move up, and other opportunities are created. And now I get to go home every day at 4:00, and I get to go pick up my kids from practice, and go to their games on the weekends. And it's all well and good, but people may look at that now and be like, "Oh man, he's got it made." Well, yeah, for 15 years I didn't have it made, and that's what it took. So I don't know. All of that said, like obviously family, home life, super, super important, and you don't want to neglect it, and you got to nurture it, and take care of what's important, because your family's everything. But just, I don't know, there has to be alignment with the other people in your life of what you're trying to accomplish.
I think you nailed it. You got to be a team in those early years, right? And one thing that I think is great, and maybe we don't think about it a lot, is I remember when I was a kid, my dad driving home, 3-hour drive from Pasadena to Ontario, and I just knew, hey, Dad's getting home late. It was a long day for him. Like, just make sure we kind of welcome him in. And it was like, that foundation at an early age led me into, like, I got no problem producing effort. I got no problem working hard, right? Because you saw that at a foundational piece in your early age, which I'm sure the boys witnessed as well when they were young, right? But to make those sacrifices early in life so you could, have the freedom or the time later in life to really enjoy, the sporting events when they get good. Let's be honest, right? T-ball's good, but, I could miss a couple T-ball years to see those high school years. But that's really, really good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, and I also think, like, when you think about work-life balance, it's like, well, what are you working for, right? And so, like, for you, I know you're a big legacy guy, like, and so am I. Like, I want to leave behind a legacy, but as long as the people that you're trying to work for, so aka your family or whatever that you're trying to bring the money in for, you can't have that without going to work and putting in the grind and putting in the sacrifice. And like, I think that's something you learn later in life, but man, if you can have that as like that inspiration every day when you come in, it makes it easy to go to work. But it's all about being intentional with the time that you do have outside, man. Coming alongside you, playing golf with your kids, coming to see, man, you're an awesome dad, man. And I think that's why why you make such a great leader. you know. So
Appreciate that.
really appreciate you for that, man. And so at Southwind, we believe anything is possible.
There you go.
Right? So that being said, Tyler, when in your, like, along this journey, when did you really believe it was possible? Because a lot of people are like, I believe anything's possible, but they still have those doubts, right? And like, as human beings, doubts creep in our heads. But at what point in your journey did you say, damn, anything is possible?
I mean, we've been doing this for 17 and a half years. Probably 2 years ago, I would say, when I finally started believing that truly anything was possible. I don't know. I was literally just texting with my sister about a different topic that's not relevant, but I said, you know, my sickness is always identifying the gap between where we're at and what's possible. So that's what I'm always trying to close, understanding that we're never going to close that gap. But even along the way, I mean, gosh, I remember like, oh man, if we could just do $1 million, or if we could just make $1 million in profit in a year, or if we could just get all the guys to show up on Saturday morning. Can you imagine? Like always changes along the way. But for the longest period of time, they call it imposter syndrome, I guess, right? Like man, I hope nobody figures out that we're not actually this good, right? Like, I definitely felt that, and to some extent that never goes away. But I don't know. At some point 2 years ago, there wasn't any like one big like thing happened that, you know, shifted the mindset. I think it was just being able to reflect back on, holy shit, look at how far we've come. And you start to recognize, you know, opportunities in the world in front of you, and you have enough experience and knowledge and connections and just belief in yourself that, like, wow, we can do this, whatever this is. We've come so far, farther than I know Josh and I ever thought could possibly be done, that eventually you just hit this point that you do believe, and
Yeah.
it's cool.
I remember kickoff. You know, you guys took me out to kickoff. That was probably like your 12th by then. But I remember Josh going on a stage, and he was on a podium, and he looked out at the crowd, and he's like, we're going to do $60 million. I think it was the next 2 years, and I just remember the silence in the crowd, and people were sitting there thinking, this guy's freaking crazy.
I remember that. We were at about 25 million at the time, and like, I think I demonstratively like put my head in my hands, like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that, because I didn't believe at that moment. Yeah. That was 2018. I vividly remember that. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? Why are you putting that out there in the universe? And then the truth is that we just absolutely crushed that in very, very short order. Yeah. So,
man, that was inspiring.
So you called it a sickness, but you know, I would say it's Southwind's superpower. Like that ability to find out, okay, where is the delta, if you will, right? Where's the delta? How do we fill in that delta? And then I think the operational, you know, the vision's here, but you find a way to make that vision happen by the operational pieces that you put in place, and finding those opportunities where, you know, I know you're holed up sometimes in your office, you know, finding out how to save maybe 0.5% on a dump in Des Moines, Iowa, or Boston, or wherever the case may be, right? But it's always finding those opportunities that it has been the superpower that has taken the business to where it's at, in my mind, these days. So,
yeah, I sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I call it a sickness. It's only a sickness when you don't have the proper gratitude on the other end. So like, always identifying the gap and seeing what's possible, and, you know, this is where we're at, and this is where we could get to if we just push a little bit harder. And, you know, that can get tiring and exhausting, but it only starts to feel bad if you don't reflect back and have appropriate amount of gratitude for, you know, all the success that we've had, the people that have helped along the way. Gratitude's, I've found, probably one of the key things in life is just being thankful for everything, because not everybody's as lucky as we are to be able to operate in an environment where everything really is possible. A lot of people are working shitty dead-end jobs that they hate every single day, and we don't have to live that existence. Nobody has to live that existence, but it's a hell of a lot easier here than other places.
all right. So I'd say, yeah, that gratitude's a big piece for our listeners that are out there doing their own climb right now. what's maybe another piece of advice you have for people that are on the climb, that are working hard right now, trying to get to where they're going, and maybe not knowing what the next step is for them?
I would say abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset is super important. There's not a fixed amount of opportunity, a fixed amount of money. I don't know, said another way, just, victor versus victim. Like, we can create our own reality. We can get to wherever we want to get to, and it's going to take time and effort and sacrifice. But it's real easy to get into a negative mindset and, not believe that things are possible, or be resentful or ungrateful. I think it was LeDrew that, I think he read a book. I wish I could remember what book it was, but it's like, if there's anything that's wrong in your life, anything that you're not happy about, you say, what's my part in this? Mm-hmm. Like, extreme accountability, like just believing that if something's fucked up, it's my responsibility to change it and fix it, and believing that you have the power to do so. And if you can live like that, while having gratitude at the same time, anything really, really is possible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. And that gets me fired up. When you think of, you're one of the most humble people I know, okay? But you've obviously had a ton of success, right? And right now, I'm not going to say if you were to have to go out there and put a resume together or things like that, but like, why should people bet on you? Like, why do people bet on you? If I were to take all my chips, we were talking poker earlier, man, and I would put all my chips in behind you. And that's just genuine. That's the genuine truth. Why do people bet on you, do you believe?
Yeah, it's outside my comfort zone, man.
I know.
I like to talk about myself.
I know.
I think that I operate with an extreme chip on my shoulder, like I have something to prove. And the truth is, I only have something to prove to myself. Like, I don't know. I've always operated from that place where I have really, really, really high expectations of myself. So yeah, I'll die before I lose. Yeah. Like, that's the truth of it. And whatever that looks like, I'll figure it out along the way, but that's served me well. And I guess I've had enough success at this point that some people are willing to bet on us. I was sitting in a room the other day with a whole bunch of bankers, and they were trying to give us loans for a whole lot of money. And I reflected back on the loan that I couldn't get, that my dad and mom had to co-sign the house over on. Like, I couldn't get one person to believe in me in the early days, and that lasted for a decade. Like, we'd go to kickoff in Vancouver, and Kansas City was a joke. Like, nobody would look at us, nobody would talk to us, and maybe that's why I have the chip on my shoulder, and maybe there's other things in my life that caused that as well, but the truth is, nobody's going to believe until you prove something, and stack up some wins. And that's why I say, just have small wins, man. If there's one thing I've learned about life, it's that every human being has to feel like they're moving forward, no matter how slow it is. Like, just recognize and achieve some small amount of progress forward, and then you can build momentum, and singles become runs, and runs become wins, and win a few games, and people believe in you, and then opportunity opens, and then all of a sudden you're somewhere that you never thought was possible.
That's good stuff.
I'm going to quote some of those. I'm going to go back and listen to this and quote some of those things.
I think people have been betting on you their whole life, man, and it's, you've been delivering. It's like when you look at the Super Bowl odds come out every single year, right? You have that team that's always the number one team, and you're going to bet on that team, and that's you, Tyler, in my mind. Leading the Super Bowl odds every single year, man. People know what they're betting on when they get with you.
No, it's us now, though, man. Like, people are betting on us. It's not just Josh and Tyler anymore, and that's the coolest part about all of this, is that when we're in the room with the bank, it's not Josh and Tyler. Like, it's this whole ecosystem that we've created that's bigger than Josh and myself now. So that's the cool thing.
Very good stuff. So give us maybe a moment or two, man, in your life where you got knocked down and it was tough to get back up. Like a moment where maybe you were wavering whether you were going to keep pushing forward with where, you wanted Southwind to go. or something that just was tough to come back from? And was it hard to find the confidence? Was it hard to find fight through the adversity and push forward?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is the paint business, which we ultimately failed at. So, 2012 we had a painting business. So we had started. I think we started the move in 2010, if memory serves me. Maybe it was 2011. I think it was 2011. And Josh and I were killing ourselves. I remember we were at a job one time. This is a little bit long story, but I'll tell it anyway. So we're at a job, we're hauling junk, and we're in 2 trucks, and we're doing the jobs. Josh has a cell phone in his pocket, and it's the moving phone. So he answers move calls and books moves while we're hauling junk. At the same time, my phone beeped, and we had a carpet cleaning job that booked. We had a carpet cleaning business at the time too. So I'm like, okay, I got to go do this carpet job. I race back to the office, strip down out of my junk gear, put on my carpet gear, load up the gear in my personal car because we didn't even have a company vehicle, go clean this carpet, go back to the office, unload all the crap because I got to get my kid from daycare later on, put my junk uniform back on, go meet Josh. At the next job, he's trying to lug couches out of a basement, one man in them, while his move phone is ringing, and we look at each other like, this is crazy, man. Like, we can't keep doing this.
I'm sure you were just happy to see jobs popping up, though.
Yes. Yeah, that was fantastic. We're like, man, we can't keep doing it this way, but that's what it was like. And then on top of all of that, like, we started a painting business, and like that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and it was too much, and we had killed ourselves living that existence that I just described for quite a while, but we started this paint company, and I mean, I think we lit $175,000 on fire in about 9 months, and it was everything that we had made probably for maybe the 18 months prior, and there, we weren't doing millions of dollars. Like $175,000 was, I mean, more money than we could ever have imagined, and we were just young and arrogant and stupid and just running 1,000 miles an hour, just thinking we were invincible. And then we hit a wall and ultimately had to shut down the business and, lost out on everything that we had worked for the last 18 months in relatively short order. And that sucked. And that hurt really, really bad. And, Josh he's a little bit younger than I am, and his kids are a little bit younger. And, he was struggling and, trying to support a family and kids and all of that stuff. And, I was doing the same thing, and it was hard.
Safe to say that the lesson learned was probably the necessary lesson to take it into what it is now, though. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. It's about intentionality and scalability and systems and processes and having the right people in the right seat and, just sheer, I don't know if it's testosterone, ego, adrenaline, bravado, whatever you want to call it. Just, effort and emotion gets you a long, long way in life, but it doesn't get you all of the way there. Like, if you really want to scale up, if you really, really want to be successful, there's got to be a game plan and, systems and processes and procedures and, the great coaches, they don't just wing it on game day. They plan beforehand. And Josh and I were just trying to wing it every single day. We weren't thinking about the next day until it was there, and eventually that'll bite you in the butt.
Okay, so this is who's the greatest coach of all time in your mind?
Well, Vince Lombardi. I mean, not even close.
Okay,
but
not surprised.
Belichick, Saban, they've recently transitioned. They're pretty good too, but I got to go Packers all the way.
They might be in Southwind eventually. You never know, man, with all these coaches around here.
We'll take them.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not looking for the $25 million salary.
Yeah, no doubt.
Looking to impart some wisdom on us for a
Give back.
more
They do.
affordable
It's like
price. Yes.
Otani, where we'll pay him like in 2043.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like
deferred
we'll
contract.
prolong
Yes.
it. Yeah. Man, really inspiring. Everything you've kind of told us today, and something that really stuck with me. You said, in order for people to believe in you, you have to believe in you first, right? And as I think back about my personal journey, your journey that we shared on the last episode, and now hearing your story, it's almost like those moments in life where it didn't go your way, or you failed, or you hit that wall and you're like, man, like, who's going to get back up and keep freaking going? And to me, that kind of encompasses everything you said, man. Was the one thing that was special about you, you didn't give up.
Yeah, and to kind of accentuate your point, a lot of people want to be like, oh, tell me about the time that you lost and that like taught you how to win in some way. Is really just I don't know, I think it's a Michael Jordan quote. Like, the only reason I won so much is because I didn't quit. And like, just feel the pain, like just run through, just keep moving forward, just somehow, some way. I don't know. That's the lesson that I've learned more than anything else, is just that, man, on the other side of that pain is success. Like, I remember the first time we did a $100,000 junk month or $100,000 move month. There's like all these different milestones where it's like, oh my God, that hurts so bad. The amount of effort that it took to push through that barrier. And then we did it again the next month, and it was only like half as hard. And, you know, it's just once you kind of cross a threshold, you know, it's like muscle memory, like push that weight, like you fight forever to, you know, hit a certain threshold. And then once you do it, like, it's easy and you do it every single day.
So is there any number that intimidates you right now?
The B number? It's a long, long ways away.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to go from, you know, 100,000 to 1 million or 10 million or whatever. But I don't know. It's just about moving forward at the end of the day. Like, you can put numbers on the board all day long and, you know, make them really, really big. But we're going to keep moving forward, going to keep creating opportunities for people and servicing our customers, making our people's lives better. And ultimately, I mean, changing the home service industry and giving the people something that they've never had before that I think they're gonna really like. So
Absolutely.
it's a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, when you think about it, serving 350,000 customers, that's pretty impressive. You know,
That's crazy. I mean,
that's insane.
I think you said 501 trucks.
Crazy. Yeah, stat check that with Marcus, man. So yeah.
I think longingly for my two original junk trucks that are no longer with us, but 500 is crazy.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is, you know, the higher you climb, the better the view, right? And like now, people they weren't taking pictures of when they were slipping on the mountain or when they were falling down and they, you know, or they were breathing heavy, because it's hard, man. The altitude's crazy, right? And so we just talked about adversity. To you, why is it worth it, man? Like, why is the climb worth it? Like, that's what the pod's called, you know, as we talk about people's journey. But for you, like, why is it worth it, man? Why is the climb worth it?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about my family. I could talk about, you know, opportunities created for other people and the environment and ecosystem, and that's all 100% accurate. But I don't know, it's just that concept of moving forward at all times. That's really what it's all about. That's what's going to make you feel good about yourself and your life and where you've been and where you're going, is just a man, a woman, whatever it is, like, they've got to have a purpose and something that they're fighting for at the end of the day, something that they believe in. And I believe in this a whole hell of a lot. I get a lot of pride and gratitude from it. And, you know, we could sell it all. We could, you know, do whatever. We've worked long enough and hard enough, Josh and I, that we don't have to do this anymore. But the thought of not doing it is so far outside of where my head is at, because it's the journey, it's the process, it's the fight, it's the climb, whatever. Like, that's life, man. Like, going and sitting on a beach and getting fat and lazy, like, I don't know. Maybe there's a time and a place for that. I'm not at that phase of life yet, but moving forwards sounds a hell of a lot better than not doing anything to me at this point. So that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, man.
That's awesome. Well, man, Tyler, thank you.
Thank you, Tyler.
You know, it was tough to get you in the studio. I know this is probably not on your top list of things you would love to do, talk about yourself in here. But, you know, when we talked about the first guest, you were it, man. And hearing your story and hearing where it all started from, we truly appreciate that. We appreciate you. And hopefully the listeners will definitely get a lot from this, because you said a lot of great things today. And, just thank you again for being on. So,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Tyler, man. This is the climb.
I can let them blur the vision. Started from the bottom, but I promise I'ma break through. I ain't been on missing. This is how I'm living every day. I'm trying to make moves, focus on the mission. Ain't no competition anywhere that they gon' break you. They gon' need a village. They gon' don't need a village, cause they messing with the realest. Woo!